Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. We are previewing Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. The game is kicking off this Sunday, 2 PM UK time, back at home, our beautiful 60,000 seater stadium. And listen, where Arsenal, I think, have been playing some of their best football as well. We've had 4 out of our last 5 games been away from home. It's nice to be back in the Premier League at home. Of course, we beat PSV here, but it was actually Liverpool, our last home Premier League game.
Wow, that long ago.
Yeah, it does feel a while ago. You think we've been to Bodo Glimt since, we've been to PSV, and the performances have been a little more shaky, but a little back to home comforts.
Do you know what I feel, right? Like a lot of people have not taken that into account when talking about the performances of Arsenal. The fact that we haven't played it for ages.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? This has been our fortress. This has been the place where we put in our best performances this season. And, you know, we all know statistically it's a lot harder to go away from home and play than it is at home. You know what I mean? You're always naturally more free-flowing at home. So it is good to be back here. And, we can take a look at that later, because I do feel it is a big difference maker in the way in which Arsenal have been playing this season.
So you are right about how certain people, me included, have kind of looked at the recent performances, saying they're not necessarily bad, but there's a bit of a lull with that PSV away game. That was a bad performance. Yeah. We're now looking to correct that. And it's first versus 20th in the league. It's top versus bottom. We know that, especially this season, when you look at the teams that have been struggling for points, your Leicesters who have turned things around recently, Wolves, they've still got very good players. Forest signed a brand new squad this season.
20 players.
And they just beat Liverpool as well. We'll go into that in a sec. But it kind of, no game is easy, but you know, if you want one to get your confidence back a little bit to what it was at the beginning of the season, first versus 20th is probably a good place to start.
It is, but our mind's now focused after what happened last week. You know what I mean? They beat Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was a deserved win as well. I watched the game. They deserved to win the game. They played really, really well. And, you know, we played a couple of games against Nottingham Forest. I know they've been away in the FA Cup and we've lost. So I think it focuses our minds again that, you know what I mean, let's not just look on it and say light work because they're at the bottom of the table. You know, if they can take the scalp of Liverpool, if we're not on it, they can take the scalp of Arsenal. We've had a game midweek. They've had all week to prepare. So this is a very, very important game. But I do look at that PSV result in reflection, and I really do think to myself, there was a lot of players there. It reminded me of last year's Arsenal. And I saw a lot of players out there that have not been playing like how they've been playing this season. I think there was a lot of players there trying to coast their way through that game with an eye on the weekends. You know, we already know we've qualified for the group. We know we've got a second chance of winning that group next week at home against Zurich. So I think there was a lot of players who played it. And Mikel Arteta himself even said it. There's a lot of players who sort of just coasted their way through the game. Martinelli, we see how that guy's been playing this season, pressing, you know, really energetic. I was like, who's that playing? He didn't press once. He didn't have no energy. I just felt he was coasting his way through the game. And don't get me wrong, I can kind of get it because, you know, these guys are more focused on that game at the weekend. But now that we have lost that game, they've got to turn up at the weekend now, because doubts are starting to creep in with, you know, some of the supporters. You know, the performance, you know, we draw last week against Southampton, another poor second half. The week before against Leeds, you know, a lot of people saying that we kind of got away with it a bit, you know, getting that win. The performance has not been as domineering, even the Bodo Glimt away. So the performance has not been as dominant as we've been used to seeing. And I think people would like to see a return to some of that dominance at home this week. But playing so many games away from home has had something to do with it, because you naturally are a little bit more defensive and protective when you go away from home and not as free-flowing as when you're at home.
Well, this week, Arsenal fans won't exactly accept a spell or even a second half like we saw against Leeds, like we saw against Southampton, where Arsenal couldn't really get on the ball, couldn't really create that many chances, although you think of the Jesus one in the second half against Southampton. PSV, the second half was a lot worse than the first. I didn't think that was possible after watching that first half. Yeah. So, you know, the fans, while they are absolutely behind this team, and the fans have been amazing, you know, there will be questions if there's a sense of, hold on, why are Nottingham Forest having a spell in this game where, 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, every team's going to have that. But if there's a prolonged half hour, maybe even a whole second half of Arsenal actually struggling to impose their game on Forest, that becomes then a little bit more worrying, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. And I watched the game last week, and Nottingham Forest, they were pretty deep against Liverpool. Sat deep and looked to catch Liverpool on the counter attack, and it worked. They frustrated Liverpool, and I think it will be the same sort of tactics here. They'll know that in recent weeks it's fallen off a bit, so they'll be coming to frustrate. But I think for Arsenal, if we could get a dominating win, it brings the confidence back for those last 2 games before the World Cup comes up, which is Chelsea away next week and then followed up by Wolves away. This is an important game on Sunday. I really do think, obviously important that we must get the win, but I think for this game, performance is important as well.
Yeah,
it really is.
I'm completely with you. For everything we've said about, questioning performances a little bit and, just raising the question, I don't think anyone here or anyone I've seen is particularly, slamming the team in any way. I think we all appreciate what great work they've done this season, and it's reflected actually in their last 5 Premier League games: 4 wins and a draw. Okay, the draw with Southampton, but a win at Leeds. We beat Liverpool, Tottenham. We won away at Brentford. That is not an easy set of 5 fixtures because you got 2 of the traditional big 6, let's say, at home, and then 3 tough places to go in Leeds, Southampton and Brentford.
It's an outstanding 7 out of 9 results. We've got so used to just winning so many games and winning them in style, right? Yeah. That, we're almost a bit spoilt at the moment. But
I agree.
It's outstanding. It's been outstanding. But we're the hunted now. We're at the top of the league. There's a lot of people out there waiting for us to slip up. I mean, I got a load of messages after the PSV game. See, I told you. And I'm like, relax, man. You know what I mean? That was 5 players rested out of the game. That was, relax, right? But there are a lot of people waiting for us to fall. And, so the pressure's on Arsenal. It's a new position for us.
Yeah.
But that's an outstanding set of results, Unbeaten in the last 5, won 4 of them. You know what I mean? And
5 awkward games.
Yeah, and a lot of those games, 3 of those games have been away from home. Yeah. So,
Yeah, very, very true. Forest's record as well in the last 5 might surprise people. When I looked at it, I certainly thought with the narrative around Forest and Steve Cooper nearly losing his job, they're not giving him a new contract. I thought, these results aren't going to be pretty before the Liverpool win. And they're not as bad. I mean, okay, they lost 4-0 at Leicester, and Leicester was struggling then, so that's a bad result. They drew with Villa 1-1 at home. They lost 1-0 at Wolves. They drew 0-0 at Brighton, and they beat Liverpool 1-0 at home. I mean, that's not. Listen, I think that's quite poor when you consider, some of those teams that they lost to. There, Leicester were rock bottom. That was sort of like a bottom of the table, and to lose 4-0. That was pretty horrendous. And then, lost to Wolves.
Losing to Wolves as well, another team that's down there. But what they have done now is it looks like they've gone for being like a very hard to beat team. You know what I mean? So you saw the 0-0, then the 1-0 against Liverpool. So all of a sudden they've gone sitting deeper, trying to frustrate, trying to make it hard. They want to be hard to beat. If they come here at the weekend and they get a draw, that'll be a wonderful result for them. So I think that they're going to come and they're not going to be adventurous. I'd be very surprised if they are. I think they're going to come and they're going to come to sit, frustrate, and that's what Arsenal need to be ready for. That is what's coming, I feel, on Sunday.
Yeah.
And the intensity of Arsenal's performance cannot be like what we saw against PSV or what we saw in the second half against Leeds and also against Southampton.
Let's have a look at our last 5 Premier League games against Nottingham Forest, and the last one was in 1999. Yeah, 5 games played. Were 4 wins, 1 defeat and 10 goals. But of course, I think what tells the story a little bit more is recent history, where we won 4-0 in the Carabao Cup back in 2016. We lost 4-2 at Forest. We beat them 5-0. Martinelli scored a couple in that game. And we lost 1-0 at Forest as well last season in January in the FA Cup. I was at that game. And that's what I kind of realised what a good job Steve Cooper was doing, because they were very impressive in that game. They didn't just park the bus, sit on what they had. They took the game to us, and I thought really made some of our stars look quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think Nottingham Forest at home are a completely different proposition to them away. At home, it's a very hostile place to go to. Their fans are brilliant. They really get behind the team. Obviously, away from home, coming to the Emirates for them is going to be a bit daunting for them. So it's a different proposition, but still we can't take them lightly. We've got to give them respect after, any team that beats Liverpool has earned the respect to come here, and Arsenal know that if they don't, treat that team with respect, they could get done. And, they're a decent side with some good players.
Their 2 wins this season have come at home to West Ham and Liverpool, so they have shown that yes, at home, but they can elevate it for sides that last season in particular did very, very well. Going into this game, who are you keeping an eye on of the 22 signings they made? Now, how many was it? 20? I can't remember. Anyway,
it was the Nigerian striker. Was it Oninye?
Awoniyi.
Yeah. Sorry about pronunciation. Kelechi, right? But he impressed me last week. He was a handful up front. He's a big guy. He's mobile. He held the ball up well, and he really worked well in their strategy against Liverpool. He scored the goal as well. He's going to be a danger. He can play up front on his own, and I was very impressed with him. I was impressed with impressed with that dog as well. But I was impressed with Yates, I think it was, in midfield as well. What I mean? He got around the pitch a lot, put a lot of tackles in. He was really all action. And, that again, the midfield is going to have to be really up for the battle for the game, because he certainly is that player, very combative. Those two stand out, but they've got a lot of, Lingard has come here before and with Man United and, done the Millie Rock in front of the Arsenal fans. He'll be looking to come and do something, you know what I mean? Morgan Gibbs-White, quality player,
Paid a lot of money for him,
Paid a lot of money for him, good player. So they've got, they spend a lot of money on players, Lodi, all these guys, right? But they're still trying to gel as a team.
Sure.
But they've got, in all areas, players of quality. Emmanuel Dennis, that's another one.
That's a good point.
He was at Watford. He's another player that they can bring on.
Someone who I kept an eye on in that Liverpool game was Cech Kouyaté.
He was very good in that game.
A few runs getting forward as well, but he's got Premier League experience. He played for Palace, for West Ham.
Superb game.
He's played as a box-to-box. He's played as a holding midfielder. He's even played centre-back. He's someone that, if Arsenal are going to get on the ball, they'll look to him for his experience as well and his know-how, having been here. Has he even scored here before? He might have, I can't remember. But, he's someone that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. But you're right about them kind of gelling as a team. It's still, it takes a couple of months to gel in 3 or 4 signings, let alone the amount of new players they've got in. Of course, they've just backed Steve Cooper with a new contract. So they're still finding their feet in the Premier League, despite having 9 points on the board, which is decent. They're keeping up with some other sides despite not having a great season. Arsenal, I think, need to impose their football in midfield and just take it to them, and just really unsettle them from the start. Make a fast start.
It's all about Arsenal doing what we've seen them do all season, which is intensity, right? Moving the ball quickly, and I think the key is going to be the 3 guys up front. Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, and Saka picking that ball up and running at the Nottingham Forest defence on this wide pitch, right? I think that is the absolute key. If we can get those 3 guys running at them, we'll cause their defence a lot of problems, because the defence has been their weak spot this season, hence why they've all of a sudden started sitting a lot deeper and trying to make themselves harder to beat. So I think those 3 players, Gabriel Jesus, for me, it's a big game for him. You know what I mean? There's question marks starting to be asked. Does he score enough goals? He's had a few games recently where he's missed. He missed a golden opportunity or 2 in the game against Southampton last week. The previous week against Leeds, he missed a chance that he should have buried as well. He'll be playing on his mind. He'll know that people out there are talking and saying, well, all right, you're contributing or other parts. Goals, though. Are you scoring enough goals? Are you starting to miss too many chances? I think that's going to be on his mind. Martinelli as well has had a few little quiet games. So I feel that those 3 up front, but in particular, Gabriel Jesus is the key to this game.
Let's go through
Arsenal.
some of the more interesting stats have come through from Opta. They're saying that Arsenal have won each of their last 7 Premier League games against promoted sides, last winning 8 in a row between January 2013 and April 2014. At home, the Gunners are unbeaten in 34 games against promoted sides, with 29 wins and 5 draws since they lost to Newcastle in November 2010. I remember that, Andy Carroll. Arsenal haven't kept a clean sheet in any of their last 10 Premier League home games. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, it's mad.
That, I've got to say, that's the most staggering one for me. He says, they say, though, that they have won the last 8 in a row, losing 2. In English top-flight history, only one side has ever won 9 consecutive home games while conceding each time, with Villa doing so in their first ever 9 games in 1888 and 1889.
Wow.
Okay, we need a clean sheet, basically. Having scored in the second half in each of their first 9 Premier League games this season, 12 goals in total, Arsenal failed to find the net after half-time in each of their last 2 as well. Yeah, and the second half performances weren't good against Southampton and Leeds.
Yeah, but again, I just want to add to people, like I said at the start, these are away performances, away from home. Away from home can always be, it's more difficult games than they are when you play at home because, you know, especially in the second half, teams will come onto you more. They're at home.
Yeah.
You know, we've been playing teams where we've been 1-0 up. They got to come at us. They got to come after us, right? It is natural for the away teams going to go a little bit deeper because they want to hold on to that 1-0 and maybe, you know, so we got to factor that in. I don't think enough people have been factoring that in. That is a factor in those performances. But here, we're going to be at home. I expect Arsenal to really go for it. I want to see, and I think Arsenal fans want to see a big performance.
Well, sorry to cut you, but especially with how busy October's been, I was looking back at the last sort of 7-8 seasons, and I think last season we played 5 games in October. The previous Octobers were all around 6. Well, no, there were 6 games, all the way back to 2015 or something. It's probably the same going back even further. This is our 9th game in October.
Yeah, it's
this
crazy.
is a younger team that weren't used to playing, you know, Europa League football last season. So, you know, it is a different pressure for this younger team that maybe aren't used to it, but that's what they've got to get used to. So,
listen, this is what, you know, we're in the Europa League now, and this is what they've got to get used to. I do think, and a lot of people have been pointing out that, you know, come January, we need to improve on the squad. We've been a bit unfortunate with some injuries. No Zinchenko, we haven't had Emil Smith-Rowe. I think those kind of players would have played a big part for Arsenal over these sort of games because, you know, they're guys that come in and the quality doesn't drop off, you know what I mean? So they're big misses for Arsenal, but come January we're going to have to strengthen the squad. But it's a lot of games for us because obviously we're in the Europa League. A lot of games for everybody. We've just got to go out there, we're at home and do the business. After this, our next 2 games are away. Again, a lot of away games, but our next 2 games are away. But I'm just looking at it and saying, I know a lot of people have been saying that they feel the break for the World Cup might not do us any favours. I think it might. I think we're seeing that it might.
I'm with you.
Reset, rest up a bit, and then come back again. But we want to maintain our position, either be at the top or, you know, a point off it or whatever. But if we can be in and around that, you know, what could we do this year? So
I'm completely with you.
I'm just want to see a performance this weekend, a confidence building performance.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of injury news, guys, I wish we could give you more. Unfortunately, we don't really know too much. Gabriel Magalhaes apparently limped off, but I don't think there's anything been confirmed in terms of his injury.
Hopefully he's all right.
Yeah, we really hope.
All those people who've been saying, maybe drop. Ridiculous talking about dropping players like Gabriel. He's so important to this team, and we need him in that game.
Yeah,
and
completely agree.
Yeah.
With Smith-Rowe and El-Neni, we know their long-term injuries. Zinchenko, it's a little bit of a mystery. And actually, go check out the live show that Turkish and I did, actually trying to, not break down, because we don't know a lot, but try and really get to the bottom of what we think might be going on and Arsenal's sort of approach to how much they really let us in on when it comes to injury. So we will see a little bit more what's going on with Zinchenko. Hopefully Arteta addresses it in the press conference, which of course we will get here on AFTV. Robbie, a score prediction?
I'm going to go for 3-1. You know what I mean? I'm just for the fact that we ain't been keeping clean sheets here, I could see possibly Forest scoring, but we've got to. I feel that these players will be a little bit stung over the last few weeks. You know what I mean? That, you know, maybe people are starting to cast a few doubts on the team, and we're back home. They haven't been here for a while. They're going to want to turn up and give a big performance to the fans in the Premier League. So I'm going for Arsenal winning by 3-1.
Yeah, nice. I'm going to go for 2-0 Arsenal. I'm hoping well, no, I don't care how the ball goes in the back of the net, but I can maybe see something from a set piece. They can
Love to see Jesus score.
I'd love to see Jesus score. They can see a lot of set piece chances actually to Liverpool. Van Dijk had quite a few moments where he was unmarked, so I think Arsenal can have a bit of joy there. But ultimately, I think maybe it might be a slightly tentative performance from Arsenal. I hope not. I hope they go and blow them away, because we're capable of it and we've shown it this season. So, all right, guys, let us know your predictions in the comments below. Do hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. We've got some more stuff coming on the previews. Anything you want to see as well, you let us know. Any bits of information that you want involved in these videos, of course, these are for you guys, so you let us know what you'd like to see. And of course, if you want to support Arsenal, whether it be your individual players, I mean, I've got the North Bank hoodie on, but of course you can support your favourite players, Saliba, Air Ramsdale. There are lots of great merchandise, which is all in the link below, so go check that out as well. And yeah, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Go check out Box to Box, the Predict 11 videos coming out soon as well. And yeah, we'll be covering it. Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest, we'll both be there. Go get the 3 points, Arsenal.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.